Okay.
Howdy, folks. Mangy Fellox here. The Heritage Foundation has been real concerned that not enough people are hearing about their Project 2025 plans. So I got here the Kevin Roberts song.
This is the U.S. intelligence agency, Mind Control.
We don't think we'll have to kill you if you let us have our way. We won't murder your
literally,
whole family.
the guy who's like involved with Project 2025, he said we're in the middle of a next revolution and it won't be bloody as long as the left doesn't make it bloody. Or basically saying like it won't be violent unless the left tries to stop us.
Jesus Christ.
Listen to what we say.
They literally like, we're not the violent ones.
That's fucking crazy.
Us, you may see another day. We don't think we'll have to kill you if you let us have our way. In 2025, if Trump's elected, we got plans. We'll transform America to be more like Afghanistan.
It's so true, though. I've literally been calling these people American, because since you brought it up, right?
It's
I've been calling
ideology.
them okay Talibani. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You've been calling them what?
I've just been the fucking Talibani.
That's what you call them? Just that?
Yeah, nothing more. I'm just like, okay.
But it's literally the same ideology. It's dominionism.
Yeah, same fucking thing.
Now, how many views does this have? Because I already want this guy for an interview.
108,000.
Okay, you think this? Subscribe and write this down as a note for emails for workshops this weekend. Tic-tac-toe, a winner. The real musician I want, though, you know who it is?
Kendrick?
No. Come on, who's the real musician we want to interview?
Our friend.
No. I wish he was my friend.
I have no idea.
John Hinckley Jr.
Yes. Of course.
But I really honestly, I really want to talk to him about how he loves his life right now, how he just he was able to get the help and that he needs to function in society, and how he feels that because his case was so politicized that people like him end up getting put in prison for life instead of psychiatric care.
Yes. Yeah.
I'd really like to hear how he feels about that, honestly.
Yeah, it would be a very fucking good interview. Has he done any interviews since coming out?
Yes, but it's mostly about him being like, I'm fine. Everyone said I'm fine.
It's just him being the guy who did it.
Yeah. And he's very medicated and mellow. So
okay, I would be so interested. I kind of like your idea of raffling off or trying to raise a fundraiser to pay, buy one of his art pieces. That would be cool.
To get him to give us an art piece to raffle would be cool.
Yeah.
Anyone really, any artist who would raffle. I think that's a good way for nonprofits to do fundraisers and stuff. Yeah. You have those fucking charity auctions.
Yes.
Right. And all the rich people come to buy art. And then if all that art is coming from independent artists and stuff like that, then
that's actually a really fucking good idea. I'm gonna put a marker because that's an idea.
Oh well, I won't. I definitely won't forget that because
that's a fucking idea and a half.
And prosecute those who are.
That's the thing is that the future plan is easy. It's the meantime getting everything up and running and the base to be able to do the stuff to make those future plans. That's hard.
Yeah.
No, that is the real American way. We don't think we'll have to kill you if you let us have our way. We won't murder your whole family if you listen to what we say. If you get in line behind us, you may see another day. We don't think we'll have to kill you if you let us have our way.
I love this guy. All right.
We are in the process of the Second American Revolution,
There
which
you go.
will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Oh, good.
There you go. Already.
Oh, boy. Oh, good.
That was what Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts said last week.
I don't think they watched the movie.
Because
What
this man
movie?
runs
Rambo?
the organization spearheading Project
First Blood?
2025, which is a plan, for those who don't know, to dismantle American democracy if Trump is elected again. So he's letting all of us know ahead of time that if we reject a Trump dictatorship, there's going to be violence. Now, even though what he said there is incredibly ominous and chilling, I am still really thankful that he was bold enough to say that with his full chest publicly, because now more people than ever are finding out about Project 2025.
I think
thanks
what
to
I
him
think
and
is
other
happening
individuals
here,
who are trying to sound the alarm about this dangerous plan. And so many people are finding out about this that Trump had to.
I think what's happening here is he doesn't actually know how it came off. His intent is really that we're not the violent ones, and like if they really like opposed us, they would win through policy like we have, right?
Yeah.
So he's doing the it's ethical when we do it, it's okay when we do it type thing, but you can't even though you don't have the same economic privileges, right? So that's more of the route that he's taking, is that classical imperialism type of thinking, more than he is saying that we're gonna bring violence if you try to stop our agenda.
Yeah.
But he fundamentally believes that they're the nice ones who can win over with policies and stuff, and it's the violent radical left burning down the cities. He genuinely believes that.
They're that dumb.
Come out and publicly distance himself from Project 2025, writing on Truth Social, quote, "I know nothing about Project 2025. That's horseshit. I have no idea who's behind it. That's horseshit. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them." But wait, if you know nothing about it, how could you possibly know that some of the things in Project 2025 are ridiculous and abysmal? Seems pretty suspicious if you ask me. Now, obviously, Trump is lying. Shocker, I know. In fact, Amor Moussa, director of Biden's Rapid Response, seized on that lie and shared ads run by Trump's super PAC where they share a website promoting Project 2025. One ad even calls it Trump's Project 2025. Additionally, as Judd Legum of Popular Information points out, there's more than 30 people from Trump's administration now directly involved with Project 2025. And he adds, 31 of the 38 people involved in Project 2025 came from Trump's administration. Furthermore, Legum adds that Trump adopted 64% of the Heritage Foundation's policy recommendations in his first term. So it's reasonable to think that he's going to do that same thing again. Now, there's so much more information packed into that thread, which I'll link to down below, that directly ties Trump to Project 2025. But in case you're still in denial after reading that and seeing what I just said, here's some of his former administration officials.
Every episode, you know, it's just more reason to tune in more, because there'll definitely be more
discussing
look at
Project 2025
explicitly about China.
If you haven't watched that episode, go watch that episode. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, we literally have pretty much an episode for most things at this point. I'm sure there's stuff that we haven't covered that we're yet to cover, but yeah. Here I am looking for a fucking Twitter thread, and it's fucking X now. Where is this thread, you fuckhead? This it? Why is this the only one that wasn't?
What are your favorite videos? That's funny, because it's definitely the one we've been criticized the most for doing.
The Black Red Guard one?
Yeah.
We were criticized?
Well, just because... No, not... They more criticize him and the things he says in it.
Okay. What does he say? Cope?
No, I mean, he doesn't hurt it.
No, okay.
So what we're doing with Project 2025 is we're recruiting the MAGA America First Republicans right now so that we can take DC by storm in 2025.
What was that?
We're not going to go in like we did in 2017.
What was that? You're going to take DC by storm? We're not going to go in like we did
2017?
As in January 6th? Wait, so you're saying you did January 6th now? What's going on here?
No. He said 2017.
As in
Let's
going
see.
in with the Trump admin.
We're not going in 2017.
Like how we did with
2017,
the Trump admin.
Charlottesville.
No way.
Virginia, August 2017.
Hang on, let him finish. There's no way it's that dark. I know it's the Heritage Foundation, but come on. We got to see what he has to say here.
MAGA, America First Republic. What we're doing with Project 2025 is we're recruiting the MAGA, America First Republicans right now so that we can take DC by storm in 2025.
Storm?
We're not going to go in like we did in 2017, where the establishment took over and co-opted much of the personnel of President Trump's administration.
I know.
We're more prepared this time. We're recruiting grassroots.
It's still funny because the elections are.
Bro, he's saying we're not going to allow anyone but us in that admin.
Boy, some real Nazi party shit. Good
Look,
Lord.
Real American voice.
And we want all of you, if you want to serve in the next White House, next State Department, next Pentagon, we want you to sign up. Tell your sons, tell your daughters, tell all your friends. It's Project 2025.
So, Johnny, okay, you heard that?
Oh. Okay.
There you go.
Steve Bannon's here too.
There's one of my patented yells that was not a scream.
If you guys want to serve, you've got to get engaged now. You've got to be involved now, because one of the big parts of this is
Ronald McDonald behind him. Fucking sad clown looking ass lady.
It's not just training people up, but those networks that we do with grassroots organizations, with other organizations. Walk through, tell me what the plan is.
So we're collecting resumes. We're getting as much information as we can now to save the transition time on the back end. As you know, when a president wins.
Don't drink margaritas, because margaritas are gay.
There are big chunks of salt on the glass, and I said, no salt.
Things happen very quickly, and you have a short amount of time to staff an entire administration. It's also looking beyond the 4,000 and what we can do with the bureaucracy itself. So we're thinking of creative policy things as well that will integrate with this.
Well, hold it. When we talk about that, let's talk about schedule. I mean, is there going to be a plan in place to start to take apart the administrative state?
There has to be, and yes, there will be. The next president, if President Trump gets back in there, he needs to reorient the government that's in a way that hasn't been seen since Franklin Roosevelt did it with the New Deal. We need to gut these agencies.
We're going to reverse the New Deal.
Cool.
There's also, bro, have you seen the stuff about the Civil Rights Act in there?
No, I haven't yet to deep dive it.
Let me summarize and look. You can debate what I'm saying here if you really want to go hard into it, but I'm overgeneralizing here. They basically want to make it that employers can fire black people and not hire black people because they don't like the way they wear their pants.
Excellent.
I think that's a pretty good summary. Everyone who knows what I'm talking about can agree or disagree.
Amazing.
We need to make
how the Supreme Court just overturned those racist gun laws?
Doesn't work for conservatives,
right?
Yeah.
Notice how
they overturned those because the Civil Rights Act says that you can't do discriminatory policies like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Just because you don't like the look of somebody or don't like the attitude of somebody.
He said that he wants to remake government so it works for conservatives as opposed to, say, all of us. Now, to be clear, he wasn't misspeaking, and that wasn't some sort of a Freudian slip. Project 2025 explicitly does just that. The plan is to radically transform government so that way it works exclusively for conservatives and nobody else. The goal is to impose their will, Christian nationalism, on all of us, and regardless if we like it or not. And according to Kevin Roberts, if we don't like it.
Do you think these people are dumb and haven't looked what Orban has done, and they're just hanging out with him because he's fascist like them, and they agree on those things?
Oh no, they definitely surround themselves.
Do you think they're actively talking with people in not Erdogan? I meant Orban. Sorry, doing my president of Mexico thing.
No, that's a Freudian slip.
Yeah, but they what do you actually think? Why did Orban go to meet with Trump immediately after the NATO summit? It's obvious that he's telling Trump everything that was going on there because he plans on Trump coming in. There is a coherent plan. It's not just like fascists being fascist and they hang out. They like Orban because he's also fascist.
Mm.
And they like Putin because he's a strong man too. No, they've looked at their policies. It's more of, it's not so much an ideological similarity, which most people analyze it as. It's a policy thing. They are coming together not because they are friends, but they are discussing policy. They are discussing how to do and what these people did to maintain and hold authoritarian power.
And we try to fight back or resist in any way, shape, or form, there's going to be violence against us. So what Project 2025 does is it dismantles the administrative state and abolishes agencies that they don't like, such as the Department of Education. And then they have Trump take control of the existing agencies that they don't abolish, direct control, by the way. And then once you've done that and consolidated all of this power into the executive, well, you then have Trump unilaterally enforce Christian nationalist policies, such as nationwide, bans on abortion, porn, bans on gender affirming care, a ban on gay propaganda like the one that we see in Russia, abolish same-sex marriages, jail teachers who affirm queer kids, an effective ban on queer existence in public after designating.
So remember, like, how I always say that if you're a woman or in the LGBT community, that you should arm yourself and learn how to use them. You should do that even more than ever. You should do that immediately and very quickly.
Remember, guns are gay. If you have a gun, it means you're gay.
You can even get little pink ones if you're that gay. So, but you should buy as many guns as you can afford. Doesn't matter what the fuck they are.
Hey, go watch our episode with Dustin.
Yes.
Try that in a small town.
Gun control one, yeah. Find organizations that will train you, that are friendly. Pick wisely.
Go watch Tactical Girlfriend videos.
Yes. Look at their resources. Better Way 2A, their resources. Just don't be caught off guard.
Did you see Kyle Rittenhouse doing his obstacle course?
I did.
And then people quote tweeted it with Keanu Reeves. There's me doing the Biden thing. I have dementia.
But like the thing that I saw from that was what I also said, which is he's training. Why aren't you? Like you're making fun of him for being a dumpy little fat fuck.
Like you don't want to engage in politics, you don't want to vote. Your boss votes.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the best arguments of socialists that they've come up with and made.
For voting, yes. For voting, sure.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I specifically
as somebody who doesn't advocate for voting, I have no response to that. I'm like, sure. I don't legitimize the state. Like, I don't.
Just listing up cops vote, all these institutions that they'll lay out like all these institutions,
Yeah, but yeah, so it's like, but that's what I was saying. It's like, okay, you guys are on the left, are making fun of this dumpy little fat fuck training, looking like a goofball, right? But he's training. He's becoming better.
Not only did he not pass it and couldn't join the Marines, they literally told him that he cannot apply again. That's how bad he did.
Or I think it was a temporary ban from reapplying or something like that. I think we fact checked it on stream. I think.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, it was.
It's
only
still
temporary.
funny that the Marines will tell somebody do not
hysterical.
Come back.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Gay people and trans people as porn. It is explicitly authoritarian, and Trump's only running away from it now because it's a massive turnoff to most Americans who don't want to live in a Christian theocracy. But in terms of the Heritage Foundation, they don't give a shit if it scares people. In fact, I think that they're enjoying the fact that it scares people. And I say that because Roberts, who is the guy threatening violence, responded to the controversy by doubling down. The Hill reports, quote, "The Heritage Foundation and its president, Kevin Roberts, are facing blowback in the wake of his comment about an ongoing Second American Revolution."
Isn't this one of the people that people accuse us of being associated with? Was it the Heritage Foundation?
Yes. I don't remember what the other one is.
That's so funny.
That will, quote, remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
And
Heritage and Roberts, though, are standing by the...
It all actually stems, ironically, from doing an interview with the YPJ, right? Because that interview exists.
Yeah.
It pissed off a lot of imperial powers in Turkey and Iran. And the fact that like apparatchiks tried to fucking do a disinformation campaign specifically on me and not you is just so funny.
What are they gonna get on me?
I think they could find way more things to screech about with you, like fat phobia, and dumb shit like that. You know?
Do you understand how much fun I would have with people crying about that kind of shit? Because my actual opinion is no reflection on how I speak.
Like, there's one. I remember one time I was something. I basically defended specific Boogaloo boys,
Okay.
right? Not people that I even like. Someone like people that somebody I've even blocked by saying, you know, I just defended them basically. Told this person to shut up, and then I was like, "Yeah, you're just." And she said something like, "Yeah, you're the same people," or like anti-Julian Assange or something, or like pro-Julian Assange. I was like, "Wait, what about Assange?" She's like, "Haha, is this you?" And I'm like, no, like, and then she starts saying that he was a rapist and stuff, and it's like, oh my god, dude. It was like literally
that's the Swedish narrative that they tried to get in with.
Yeah, and if it's true or not, like I don't like Assange. I'm just agreeing that the whole like narrative that like he was a spy and shit, and like the narrative that it's a journalistic issue the US pursued him is true. That's all I was trying to like say. So then they were like, we're going to dox you now, right? I'm already public. Right? Like I talk about that I live in Syracuse, New York constantly.
Yeah.
And I talk about my credentials and record constantly, right? And so they just clearly did searches like the word bitch, right? And didn't even look at the context that it's in. So one of the things that they said, it's like basically saying the Nazis were great here, that they sent back, was me saying how horrific it would have been if the Nazis used sarin on D-Day. Right? So all I was saying is that the Nazi weapon was bad, and somehow that's me saying the Nazis were good. To this person, you know?
Sure. There's some mental gymnastics, sure.
But that was better than whatever the fuck they're still trying to do with this Heritage Foundation shit. That like to implicate us with other people, and it's because I have retweeted people who are in Heritage Foundation, but they're like foreign policy people that I don't agree with on a lot of things.
Yeah,
it's almost like I do balanced coverage takes in these regions. Crazy. Like
missing the criticism as
insane concept, right? Neutrality
is being
it's not even neutrality. It's just
I just think sometimes a specific person at Heritage Foundation had a good point, but I haven't looked at them since the Israel war started because they already had way too strong a bias there. And I've gotten this person to delete tweets as well by commenting my opinion on them multiple times. Like they said, they said something about horseshoe theory or something, and then I commented on how horseshoe theory is still too vague. And she deleted the entire
Americans
tweet.
in 2024 are in the process of carrying out the second American Revolution to take power back from the elites and despotic bureaucrats. These patriots are committed to peaceful revolution at the ballot box, Roberts said Wednesday in a post on the social media platform X, continuing to describe the threat he sees and warning that the left may not allow a peaceful transfer of power. Oh, well, that's fucking rich. Now, a couple of hours after Roberts made those comments, well, guess what happened? The official Heritage Foundation Twitter reposted the exact same words, the exact threat that he made, but they tried to change the context to scapegoat the left and make it seem as if they're the ones that are violent. But in the original video, he very clearly says, we're going to impose our will on everyone else. This is a second American revolution. And if you don't comply with the new government that we form, well, there's going to be violence. So regardless of how you try to spin this, it is very much an implicit threat of violence from the right, not the left. But
I
it's
don't
such a
know.
bad look
I
that
think
some Republicans, they see it and they are
I
trying to spin
agree
it because nobody
with
wants
them
to embrace
saying that they're trying to frame
oh
the
my
left
God.
as being the ones that are violent.
We are in the process.
Yeah,
So
I lost it.
This
I'm
episode is
moving
made.
I don't think it's them directly threatening violence. They're just
Yeah, I
saying
think
that
that's
the
a
left
little
is
bit of a
violence.
stretch, but it still sounds that way.
Yeah, I agree that it sounds that way. That's why it's funny that he said it.
Possible by Henson shaving.
Oh God!
Now we get to find out.
What was
Second
that?
thought.
A capitalist sponsor?
7 months ago, he made this video. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost that time again. Election season is bearing down on us, and we have
No,
some
it's
truly
not.
strong contenders this cycle. In the red corner, we've got Florida Man, the Penguin, this guy, literally the only black Republican
Look, it's old. We're given, yeah.
in the Senate, and of course, the God Emperor himself, the man who's so confident that he won't even show up for debates, Donald Trump. And in the blue corner, we've got Oprah's spiritual advisor, Hassan's uncle, the chairman of a gelato company, and the reigning champion, the man who may or may not remember how he got there, Joe Biden. Yes, it's really shaping up to be a once-in-a-lifetime election season, and as always, a life-and-death struggle for democracy and the very soul of the nation, as they all seem to be these days.
Oh, so
despite very
suddenly-
few differences in Republican and Democratic governance.
Owning an independent business of gelato and seizing the means of production for yourself is bad. Suddenly, I guess. Okay. Sounds pretty anti-worker to me.
But there is one thing that actually does make this election cycle a bit different. Conservatives have been lurching towards fascism for years, with the Democrats not far behind, though historically they've been a little more subtle about
God,
it.
he just...
But
everything about him is aggravating. Fucking everything about him.
you know,
Fucking haircut,
You know,
half a face of fucking facial hair.
You know,
He's got more hair in his eyebrows than his fucking beard. Fucking shave it off, you
you know
dickhead.
the Louis C.K. bit about like calling people fags, and he's
sure.
like, he's saying like, I don't mean gay people, right? And he's saying like it's a specific thing. Like if somebody took the dick out of their mouth and said, actually, people from Phoenix are called Phoenicians, I would say, shut up, faggot, and suck that dick. Right? So that's
Sure.
like that. People from Phoenix are actually Phoenician. That's how I feel with watching him. I feel like that Louis C.K. bit.
recently, the American right has dropped a hot new single, Project 2025. If you thought they were bad before, just wait till you get a load of this. In today's episode, we're taking a look at the new conservative plan to seize total control.
Like he has
and what it
another
means for the future of the
controversial
country.
bit that's the
Brace
N-word bit,
Mm.
where he actually drops it with a hard R and he says, I don't mean that. I mean the N-word, the abbreviation, because it's just like a scapegoat. I'm pretty sure that's him, right? He also has he does the two slurs. If anything, he's the, closest to George Carlton of our time, huh?
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Louis C.K.
Oh, Louis C.K. I missed who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
because he used both the slurs in comedy bits and got away with it.
Look,
Can't make jokes like that today. I bet he could.
no, Louis is not. No. Carlin could do the same bits today. He's just that kind of person. Cunt isn't a slur.
We'll have to
Funny.
look at the bit.
But yes, are you going? Goodbye. Hold on, we'll play a soundbite for you. Hold on, this one.
I'd rather be a social justice warrior than a piece of fucking shit.
The other one is Cato, the Cato Institute, I think.
Yes.
I'm associated with.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think there is anybody like George Carlin anymore. I don't think.
No, I don't. That's like saying a modern day Richard Pryor.
Yeah, like I don't think.
Which would
even,
obviously, obviously, modern day Richard Pryor is Bill Burr.
Yes. if any comparison, right? But it's also I think there are eras of comedy as well.
Both are in movies.
Because I think there are eras of comedy because obviously comedy changes over the time.
Can't make jokes like that anymore. Can't make my Pop-Tarts movie.
Lenny Bruce today would not be telling the same jokes he told but he would be just as funny. I think. I think Kill Tony is Tony Hinchcliffe is a good example of somebody who can pretty much say whatever the fuck he wants. What he does, the people he puts up, he speaks. His actions speak for him. You know what I mean? He can be as big a piece of shit as he wants to be. Like he's making stars of pretty much exclusively minorities at this point. It's just they're the ones that end up being fucking hilarious. So, you know, it's really interesting. Comedy's super fucking interesting, but maybe like John can talk about movies, I'll talk about comedy.
Okay, Project 2025. What is it? Spearheaded by the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025 is a massive 920-page conservative...
No. Chappelle... I don't think Chappelle's got it anymore. I think he's still funny, but he's not Chappelle Show.
Manifesto detailing how they intend to give the president vastly more power, destroy bureaucracy, root out woke propaganda, appoint vetted far-right freedom fighters at every level of government, and have it all ready to implement the day that...
This is my favorite part, is they've literally got the names of everybody on every chapter of who actually wrote this part, so we actually have names. You know how they always say these laws are made by people with names and addresses? Yeah, we have their names.
The next conservative president is elected, which they assume will be 2025, hence the name. Despite Trump obviously being the favorite, the plan is not dependent on any particular candidate winning, but can be implemented with any figurehead at the reins, who will become essentially completely unaccountable. God Emperor was supposed to be a joke, but here we are. You may have seen this book floating around online, The Mandate for Leadership. This is what most people assume Project 2025 to be, but this is actually just one part of a much larger conservative master plan. Project 2025 has 4 core pillars. First, the policy, as outlined in the 920-page document. This is where all the heinous and frankly disturbing policy proposals live, and don't worry, we'll look at some of those in a bit. 2, the personnel database, which has been described as the conservative LinkedIn, as if LinkedIn wasn't cringe enough already. This will be a repository for conservative resumes from people across all sectors and from all walks of life, to be selected as needed to staff positions in every level of government, at both the federal and state level. 3, training. They've got a new online institute, basically PragerU.
You know what's going to be funny, though? Everybody who could ever possibly want to could easily get inside this project through that conservative LinkedIn. Just spout the talking points. Just become a fake person, infiltrate, and take the fucking thing down. Well, you could easily take it down from the inside.
Did you put the story about the gay furries in there?
I didn't say anything about gay furries.
Okay, so a gay furry hacking group hacked the shit out of the Project 2025.
Really? Okay.
But for people who like to wear poorly tailored suits and fantasize about rolling back environmental regulations. This training program will create willing and able soldiers to serve on the front lines in the war on the woke cabal of the deep state. And finally, 4, the 180-day playbook, a step-by-step guide for the new conservative emperor to systematically implement the policies listed in the manifesto. Think IKEA assembly instructions, but for fascism. These 4 pillars are the key components of the project, and taken together, they offer a pretty comprehensive vision for the dystopian future the right hopes to usher in. It's all pretty alarming, but where exactly does this come from?
Oh, God.
Let's take a look at some of the names behind the project.
Oh, thank God.
If you flip through the first pages of the PDF,
thank God he's going to do it right.
We're not about to give the Heritage Foundation $35. You'll find a list of far-right think tanks, advisory...
Did he just say give the Heritage Foundation $35?
No, he's saying that he stole the document because he's not going to pay them, basically.
He stole the document that is available for download on their website.
Yeah. Instead of like actually paying them to like look into it further.
Yeah. I didn't pay for their book either.
I don't know. What
groups and business and government figures who contributed to the project. Some of the names include Donald Devine, once called by the Washington Post Reagan's terrible swift sword of the civil service for his eagerness to slash spending and fire people. Stephen Moore, the well-known conservative author and right-wing economist, with such credentials as working for the very legitimate FreedomWorks and serving as a Fox News contributor. And Peter Navarro, who is notable for being one of just 3 people who worked with Trump for the duration of his term without being fired. He's also a...
That name sounds very familiar.
Speaking of gay furries, did you put that one with the Teen Titans in the thumbnail in there?
It's in there.
little bit obsessed with China, having written 3 truly awful books on the subject: The Coming China Wars, Death by China, and Crouching Tiger. The manifesto credits 35 total authors, as well as dozens of contributors, all with their credentials listed. It's about what you'd expect.
Honestly,
a lot of people from the Heritage Foundation, some military goons, a smattering of former Trump officials, extremist economists, and a considerable
where
number
he
of
literally
people who have worked in
showed
climate, energy,
infographics with percentages of how these people worked for Trump. But at the time, Trump wasn't distancing.
Yes.
So I think it's less important to point out how many of these people worked for Trump back then when this was made.
Yeah. Yeah.
And legal positions under conservative governments. What you won't see a lot of in the acknowledgments is religious credentials, which you'd think would be important given how much the document leans on Christian language. This should be your first indication that maybe the people who loudly proclaim their faith aren't really all that Christian, and they're just using it to win brownie points among their religious conservative audience.
Wow, you mean they're fascist?
There's actually a lot of overlap here with the topic of our last video on Christian nationalism. These people use religious rhetoric, but a little bit of digging reveals that the...
Instead of watching his video, you should watch ours.
I'm interested in seeing his now, too.
God they pray to is not the God of the Bible, but a mythologized vision of America itself. Much like fascists throughout history have relied on a glorious false past to act as a North Star to guide them into the promised land, so too have American fascists.
Okay,
you ready?
Peterson.
You ready? And now, in Chile,
wrap themselves in comforting mythology, proving that what they are doing is not only just, but divinely inspired.
In Chile.
When you have a higher power on your side, it's pretty easy to justify horrific acts. Okay, with the brains behind the project out of the way, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What exactly do these people want? What's their end goal? Well, there are 4 main priorities. In their words, they want to 1. Restore the family as the centerpiece of American life and protect our children. 2. Dismantle the administrative state and return self-governance to the American people.
Okay, but that is a blatant lie. Like, just by their own policy, that's a blatant lie.
Both
No.
of them are.
This one specifically, right? Because if you're reading through the policies, you're looking at the policies, you're hearing these people talk, right? Self-governance is not the vibe that I get from any of this.
3. Defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats. And 4. Secure our God-given individual rights to live freely. What our Constitution calls the blessings of liberty. Okay, you can probably already see where some of this is going, but let's start with the boring stuff. The nuts and bolts of manipulation.
They're not granting freedoms to families. The whole thing is like they have to make it act like being Christian is being persecuted in this country. And how your ideas are being extinct, right? They're busting in the migrants to vote out your people.
0 conservative coverage.
No, I put Ben Shapiro in there. On Project 2025. I put a few in there. I sent the links to you in the chat.
Is it the Eric Swalwell one?
I don't know. I just sent Project 2025 links that were from conservatives.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna do this one.
There you go.
Because this video is fine, honestly. Like, we're saying this about a second thought video. This video seems fine because I'm gonna do basically the same thing on live streams. So fuck this guy.
Yeah. Well, that's why I put it in there because I was like, hey, here's a second thought video we might be able to be charitable to.
Yeah.
And turns out, yes.
Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro got.
Maybe we'll revisit it after I do my deep dive.
Well, like also like the Bad Empanada video that I put on last Friday. Fine.
Yeah.
I didn't finish it and get to the actual crux of it, but all the information he was giving wasn't inaccurate.
It was very well sourced too.
Mm-hmm.
Was he doing visual sourcing as well?
He was basically doing a shitty version of that video we watched before.
Yeah, okay.
Not that it's I don't mean it was more entertaining. At least it's not like shitty as in it's not doing all the effort of doing the animated titles and stuff.
On the House floor on Wednesday. Now, Shapiro was testifying before the House Judiciary Committee to talk about the allegations that an advertising coalition called the Global Alliance for Responsible Media was colluding to suppress conservative voices under the guise of brand safety. Here's Shapiro explaining that theory. Let's watch.
We're in the midst of a trust crisis in the world of media, which is because so many in the legacy media have lied in order to preserve left-leaning narratives. To take just the most recent example, we were told by the legacy media that President Biden was just fine. For years, anyone who questioned his health and mental fitness was trafficking in cheap fakes. And then President Biden went out and engaged in a full-scale mental collapse on stage in front of hundreds of millions of people.
How is that
You can see
censorship?
why Americans, at least Americans who are not Democrats, do not trust the media. The question isn't
Hang
really
on.
why the legacy media have lost Americans' trust. We know
Wait, hang on. What does that have to do with censorship? Ben?
Nothing, apparently.
Answer. The question is why, despite that loss of trust, the legacy media continue to gain share in the advertising market. And the answer is simple. There is, in fact, an informal pressure system created by Democratic legislators, this White House, legacy media, advertisers, and pseudo-objective brand safety organizations. That system guarantees that advertising dollars flow only to left-wing media brands.
During the hearing, Representative Swalwell took the opportunity.
Sounds like someone's butthurt because they don't get advertising money.
Opposition.
Even though all Daily Wire is fucking ads.
Yeah. Opposition. Have you tried not being a cunt? I'm going to say no. You should try that.
To press Shapiro on his views about a bunch of subjects, including Project 2025, a proposed plan drafted
Fox
by
News
Heritage
can't get
Foundation
any ads,
that
huh?
outlines a series of policies they want Trump to embrace while in office. Let's watch.
How much do you support Project 2025?
I think, like President Trump, I haven't looked all that deeply at Project 2025, but it seems that Democrats on this committee, sort of like Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, if they say Project 2025 enough, their presidential candidate becomes alive again.
Swalwell also pressed Ben Shapiro on some other comments, including things he said about homosexual activity.
You did say, I think homosexual activity is a sin.
Yes, I'm a religious
I'm
Jew.
sure
That's true.
there's a genetic component.
You found me out.
Orientation. But the view of all religious people I know has always been that sexual behavior is something that is up to you. And you said, I may have a desire to sleep with many women, but I do not.
I agree with me. Yes, that's true.
Congratulations on your, I'm sure it's very hard to restrain yourself.
Swalwell also grilled Shapiro on his thoughts about banning the abortion pill, to which Shapiro said it was actually a state-by-state issue. Now, reacting to all of this, Elon Musk...
This is like so in faith of Shapiro. Like, I think that was genuinely some great stuff that Shapiro was just countering with, right?
Yeah.
Which he's just basically pointing out that he's just doing character assassination about why Ben is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Musk tweeted, quote, having seen the evidence unearthed today by Congress, X has no choice but to file suit against the perpetrators and collaborators in the advertising boycott racket. Hopefully some
Tell me
states will
this isn't the
criminal.
same thing as will hurt you if you disagree with us that they just did with the Project 2025, right? So the boycott against you, advertising boycott, you're going to sue people for not advertising on your site.
Yeah, that's weird. It's like, you have to come with us. Okay. No, I'm fine. Thanks,
Oh,
though.
okay, so now it's not a free market thing. Oh, because I guess it's a collusion, a left-wing collusion to censor people by not giving them ad money.
Guess what? Still free market.
Yeah.
It's the market coming together to say, fuck you.
It's, yeah, it turns out appealing to the most common denominator is not wehatejews.com.
Who knew?
You know, like crazy. You mean in Pride Month, all products switch to the rainbow flag? That's censorship to them, I guess.
Well, these people also don't know what words mean, so this doesn't. This makes total sense.
Or in Ben Shapiro's case, what facts are.
Prosecution. So some amusing moments from Ben Shapiro's testifying there. The
Who
issue
is
at
that?
hand is this idea that these watchdog agencies,
They got a
and there's
VVEC
truth
in
to it.
there?
I tangled with them before. There was something called the Global Disinformation Index. It's this web of nonprofits, some of them even State Department funded, that
that's
rates
cool.
and rank news sites and say
Let me
this is an
grab
unsafe
that.
site and
Let me see what
advertisers
that
should not
is.
work with
Is
them.
that the
They've
one?
targeted conservative sites. They've
Global disinformation, and he's making the same arguments commies make against Freedom House right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see this index.
targeted me as a
don't
writer
know.
at Reason Magazine, where I also wrote a list of the most risky, dangerous sites because they were saying we didn't cite things properly. It was totally wrong, totally made up. We asked what their criteria was. They were opaque about it. It's bad. It's nonsense. Media organizations should not be listening to.
Sounds like you're salty because you got included.
Do a lot of these so-called independent.
Instead of reflecting upon yourself and being like, how can we get out of this list next year? You opted for the nah, bro, you're wrong. Nah.
And at watchdog groups. So now whether this is
a conspiracy.
Well, it's a conspiracy. Whether it's something Congress needs to concern itself with is probably where you lose me. But I think it's absolutely correct to call out these like, you know, fact-checking, anti-misinformation watchdog organizations that say they're neutral and they're just warning advertisers about what sites they should not work with. And then you look at like, well, what are they actually saying this site did wrong? And especially with COVID, there's so much of, they were peddling the conspiracy theory that it could have originated from a lab, which is a racist anti-China conspiracy. Like, is it?
See, here's the thing. This is where, like, I think that we get into a conversation about like how tone versus substance. So, you know, when Donald Trump used language about Asians when talking about COVID, it absolutely peddled in a lot of racist theories. Now, are there questions about whether or not the COVID came out of like Wuhan labs and all that kind of stuff? I think that's where we should have been exploring.
Yeah.
But the tone of the conversation made it impossible to have any of that.
I think it's racist to say we got COVID because Chinese people were eating bats or whatever. Or
Hey, Robbie, is it racist to say that China withheld telling the world for 6 whole fucking days that COVID had reached human transmission and allowed people to leave Wuhan and infect the entire world? Is that racist, Robbie? I wonder. What about using Wagner to lock down Wuhan?
Okay, so check this out. This is their disinformation. It's so okay. So the disinformation is that they were listed as disinformation, right? That's a U.S. Department funds a disinformation index that warns advertisers to avoid Reason. Reason is listed among the 10 riskiest online news outlets by a government-funded disinfo tracker.
Top 10. That's
right.
That's
a British organization that wow, it's not even American. Epic. Okay, so he gave the report as a source in here. That's great. Okay, this is so let's hang on, open a new tab. Let's see this report that he sourced because I couldn't just search Reason magazine, right? Okay, so riskiest sites are these. Right? So oh, look, here's their approach.
Right. Hold on. New York Times #1. Challenge.
Well, what is the what is the risk exactly, right? It's the media market risk assessment method developed to assist advertisers and the ad tech industry in assessing the reputational and brand risk when advertising with online media outlets. So what they're saying is if you advertise on New York Times, it will not hurt your credibility.
Right.
Or not your brand. It won't hurt your brand.
Yes.
Right. So like the Blaze, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Like advertising in New York Post, sure.
The fact that New York Post is #1 is pretty crazy.
Well, I'm not sure if they're ranked. I think it's just listing 10 from each. Okay, 69 news sites selected on a bias of online traffic and social media followers. Okay. That's that's what, you know, we look at that specifically too to assess risk.
Disinformation, yeah.
You
Risk
can actually,
of compromise.
yeah, so they actually probably built an entire algorithm. Right, so that it's like a Giphy or something, but you can basically plug in your components and it will give you a map, like a data web.
Yeah.
So 6 indicators. Okay, or 16 indicators.
If they're objectivists, that's fucking hysterical. Imagine actually thinking Ayn Rand books are an ideology. Cringe. Like her books are fine. Just don't fucking live your life based off her fucking books. Jesus Christ.
38% is directly targeted. So literally they picked 38% that was targeting Democrats and another 38 of Republicans. They made sure that they're looking at a selection of unbiased criticism of like both things. It's not like Wall Street Journal is, you know, BuzzFeed News isn't real news, but of course, like BuzzFeed News, of course that's brand safe. You know, it's fucking BuzzFeed. Of course you want to be on there with brand safety.
HuffPost is crazy because that's fucking disinfo central.
Yeah, well, of course more liberal institutions have less risks for advertisers.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Oh, here we go. 10 lowest risk. So let's go down. 10 riskiest. Reason Magazine. Reason Magazine high risk rating is attributed to scores in 0 of 3 operations pillar indicators. So out of 16 indicators, they had 0 in 3 of them. So attribution, pre-publication fact checking or post-publication correction. So because they don't fact check or correct their articles and correctly attribute who are the authors of their articles. So that means that there's like, people behind the scenes giving them the scripts and stuff.
Right. See, for us, this is why I kind of changed what we were going to do. Like anybody who wants to be anonymous could remain anonymous, but it'll be an opt-in, opt-out thing for bylines. And that's more of a protection thing than it is.
Nothing about this says anything about them being racist. Okay. So
bad information.
Okay. This is just how it is publicly funded.
What are you looking at, buddy?
Reason Magazine. So it's a different one. Yeah, no. This is the. It's not clear precisely what they mean. Well, they told you. They looked at you're explaining that you're literally explaining their methods and acting like this isn't clear enough. Hunter died in laptop story. There it is. There it is. Epic. Great job.
Blue tongue.
I didn't see anything about them saying that you say that COVID is racist for being attributed to China in there. I didn't see anything about that.
Pangolin or the weird Chinese cultural culinary practices in markets caused the pandemic is a far more, if it's true, it's true. So who cares if it's like, we just must deal with the truth, even if it plays into racial stereotypes. But that is the theory of COVID's origin that involves racial stereotyping, not the one that experiments were being done in unsafe lab conditions that were funded by the U.S. It's the intersectional theory is the one that it came from a lab. But if you, it was totally backwards the entire time that you were called racist if you thought it came from a lab, but you were not called racist if you thought it came from
No. First of all, okay, no, that's not what they're saying. Okay. The lab leak conspiracy is specifically linked to COVID disinformation, right? You guys fucked it up because you could have actually had reasonable things to point out here, because there is reasonable things to point out. There is things that China did wrong, but instead of doing that, you focused more on showing that COVID was fake, when you could have actually imagine if right-wing journalism actually functioned proper right there, how many they would have won, instead of now it's it's like the people who still believe that shit are Russell Brand viewers, how many people could they have won over by calling into question, just stuff the China show does, just calling into question specific people in the West who helped China cover stuff up, the deer narrative type stuff. Imagine if that was what they were pushing. Instead, it's vaccines are going to kill you. And shifting people towards the horse paste and shit.
And then it was intentionally leaked to push vaccines on you. Fuck off. It wasn't intentionally linked. No, that's not how it fucking works.
And even here,
biological laboratories around the world are globally linked. They everybody funds every fucking biological. That's why it's called the lab leak. I know, but this is because I'm also at the same time disproving China's bullshit, blaming America for funding it and all that shit, right? Because that came from China as well. So it's yes, EcoHealth Alliance supplied some of the money for the Wuhan lab. Yes, it's American. Yes, Peter Daszak was in there. yes, this is all true. No, the biological lab in Wuhan was not an American project. No,
Dr.
America
Fauci.
wasn't.
Dr. Fauci.
Yes, Dr. Fauci was not in charge of the security of said Wuhan lab. Yes, the labs are global, which means that everybody funds all of them and they swap samples all the time because they're a different level biological laboratories. It's very funny that I fucking learned all about
Seriously,
this
though,
because of a Russian disinformation
Seriously,
campaign.
though, can we just talk about what he's saying? They're saying we're racist for saying that the lab leak happened. They're racist for saying that Chinese culture caused it with the fucking food. That's more racist to me.
Because it's what the
No.
actual criticism here, the actual criticism of the Chinese government is not just it getting out locally. That can be handled, right? That can be dealt with. That's not an issue. They're level 4 biological labs for a reason. They handle fucked up shit. And people are like, oh my God, anthrax. Anthrax is level 2.
Yeah.
Just so you're aware of like
Yeah.
where this shit plays, right? Anthrax is level 2. So these cunts in Wuhan are fucking with shit way worse than COVID. And COVID's
anthrax
what
is
got out.
basically on every farm at one point.
Yes.
It's
Right?
extremely common biologically. It's not like an advanced fucking bat virus that's mutating or
Yeah.
a bird virus that's mutating. Now,
Yeah, like this is not a
check this
natural
out.
thing that
I
happens.
found something that if I was a conservative journalist, just doing the research from the information he's leaked, I found this. I think this is way more in line with the narrative they're trying to push, right? So we do this primarily by seeking to defund disinformation, breaking the incentive to create it for a purpose of garnering advertising revenues. This can be done by brands, advertising, and tech companies. They're literally saying their narrative. Like they're trying to defund organizations that have this type of view that they have and how that's censorship. But it's like a boycott, divest, sanction type shit approach.
Sure.
Right?
I mean, that's a good way to do it. I would say BDS actions towards most things would probably work. Right? Depending on the number of like how it's getting money. Anyway.
Maybe they should try to do it like I just did instead of dumb bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is that if they were always rational, it would defeat the purpose of all their work because they would be training a rational audience to think rationally about things. Right?
Yes.
They have to adopt the dumb narratives.
They have to be irrational because they've amassed an irrational audience.
Yeah, and they need to keep that type of irrationality for everything.
Yeah. But yeah, like with the labs, like it's because China's they've got two narratives that they go with, right? It's the World Military Games. They're like, oh, America left COVID in China for 6 months before the actual outbreak, right? And the white-tailed deer. Then the backup one, which was America did it, Eco Health Alliance, and then the backup of the backup was just a distraction, which was utilizing the Stop Asian Hate movement and redirecting it and co-opting it to be about COVID.
It's just
so
like it's just like how anti-Semitism has clearly risen, right? It's clearly risen, and fascists have clearly used the situation to start perpetuating anti-Semitism openly. And instead of like addressing and looking at people like Nick Fuentes and stuff, it's anyone who's protesting against the Israeli genocide or criticizing Israel is anti-Semitic now.
Yeah,
like
it's literally that. So like there was a real increase. I think it was specifically the issue was Black on Asian violence, I believe, at the time. And there was the big movement was the Stop Asian Hate movement. CCP's like, we can use this, co-opted it, redirected it, depowered their voices for their own state ends. So not like this. This is just pointing out how malicious the Chinese government has been. They also blocked investigations into the Wuhan lab to find out where it could go. As John said before, people have tracked down the person that something started from before. You think we can't track this down even with China's deep cleaning? There's fucking no way they could hide this shit. So, like, to just cite to like to
well, you can
cite
hide it if you stop the
China.
investigations.
Exactly. So to cite China on anything for COVID, from their numbers to how it started, is foolish.
Well,
Like,
you can still cite it and say the Chinese numbers, right? You can still say that and leave it up to the viewer to interpret it.
Sure. But if we're, but that would, I guess it's coming to an independent conclusion, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Practice.
But doesn't it really talk about the broader media landscape, that the ability to actually get information, to understand the root of things so that people can have conversations, be informed? It's really
It's just
hard.
like how I said earlier
we're
with
pretty
the
informed people.
Hamas narrative, Hamas health industry narrative, right?
Yeah.
And we've got to read 10, 15, 20 different sources to be able to get information. The average person doesn't really have.
Okay, it's just these two waffling on.
Yeah.
I don't care. Let's see how Falun
Oh, I
Gong
can't wait
ends
for
it.
this one. Falun Gong. I've been waiting for one to put on from this guy, because the Falun Gong comedy news is so funny that they did it. But like, I recall something like this, but I'm not sure how much validity it had. It's still more of like a loose end thing, I think, but I'm not positive. I know for a fact, though, that they were warned a year ahead of time that it was not if, but when a leak.
Yes, yeah, the Wuhan lab's security was lacking severely.
But like, also, it's completely probable that it formed in the wet market because of a fucking animal contamination.
Yes, that is also completely possible, but it's far more likely that it was the lab.
I think when governments start stopping
like,
investigations, it gets a little sussy.
Yes. Also, the EcoHealth Alliance documentation kind of backs up that that's exactly what they were doing gain of function on. So it's kind of like the documentation's there. The only thing that's been stopped is the investigation by the Chinese government. And then they're like, oh, we only had 6,000 deaths. Because apparently, despite recording cases everywhere, the only deaths happened in Wuhan. Because that makes sense. Okay.
Democrats warned that Trump has a plot to radically transform America.
So if we're talking about the Winnipeg fire, I would have to look at it specifically. But what I'm guessing is that the what do they fucking call the stealing technology and stuff program? 1,000 Arms or something.
1,000 Talents.
1,000 Talents program. So like, I mean, it happens all the time.
I think it's United Front, actually.
And as I've said many times on this, China's smart for doing this program, right? But like, I'm sure it was more of the state responding to something like that. Like, we don't know which Japanese are spies. Throw them all in internment camp type shit.
Yeah.
If they were suspicious
United
of
Front.
one person in there, they're suspicious of all of them, and basically associated them together, even if there was little evidence to do so. I can totally see a state doing that.
Yeah, it's the United Front.
Check out these
political strategy of the Chinese Communist Party involving networks of groups and key individuals that are
as
influenced
I've said
by the
before,
CCP and used to advance its interests.
The history of China is obviously the history of Maoism in many cases, and the united fronts that Maoism was able to create were way more successful than Marxist-Leninists from the Soviets. I mean,
the United Front Workers Department is a department of the Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party, the CCCCP, tasked with United Front work. It gathers intelligence on manages relations with and attempts to gain influence over elite individuals and organizations inside and outside China, including Hong Kong, Taiwan, and other countries. This is literally China's imperialist policy.
Yeah, but also they have every right to do it.
Sure. But
It's
this
not
is
like
why
it's not like
it's
we
just-
don't do similar things.
No, I know, but this is just me pointing out that this is just another thing backing up my observation that China is an imperialist power.
Mhm.
Right? This is just another of the many, many, many examples that I have. And this is the program that they use to steal secrets and programs and that sort of shit. This is the
Mhm.
stuff that they will pay professors to give them secrets, this sort of stuff. We all know about this.
Into a fascist authoritarian regime. Wait, is that true? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. So,
God, he speaks quickly.
I'm Mr.
it
Falling
seems
Gong.
Biden isn't doing too well in the polls. And with Trump widening the lead over him, let's just say people have already jumped to their own conclusions as to what may come. It's not a question
What
of
do you think?
if Trump
What do you
will
think
be
these
more
guys got on the risk index, huh?
authoritarian, but instead, what kind
Oh,
of
this guy's the
authoritarian
worst.
he'll
We
definitely be.
absolutely
With that in
agree.
mind,
We
one
absolutely
particularly
agree.
chilling
He's-
plan
This place,
scaring the
this
living
page,
daylights
and
out
this guy is literally owned by an anti-Chinese. Well, they are Chinese, but they're anti-Chinese government cult, and they're fucking
Falun
insane.
Gong.
They're fucking insane. Like we were laughing at those
people.
Chinese ladies crying at the Trump rally,
Mm.
and we were like, "Gotta be the Falun Gong."
It's
people.
gotta be, yeah. Gotta be.
It is a wacky cult.
and it's deviously called Project 2025. Super scary.
They're also the reason that we can't talk about organ harvesting from Uyghurs without people piping up and being like, "That's a Falun Gong lie."
'Cause
Yeah,
it
it is. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
So is this Trump's secret plan to make America into a dictatorship?
They literally think that their organs are pure because of a ritual that they do,
Yeah,
and that's
they
why
do-
the Chinese
they do-
government wants to steal their
Yeah,
organs.
that's their belief is that yoga makes their organs pure. Like they can just pray away the cancer type stuff.
Pray the gay
That's like
away.
their fundamental belief is that the body
Yeah.
is basically liquid or something.
Mhm.
Right? But the thing is that the narrative being pushed that it's like the Uyghur camps are done specifically to get organs and stuff. That's like a Falun Gong pushed thing to associate
Yeah.
people with them supposedly being targeted for their organs because their magic works, and that's why you should join Falun Gong. Like they're turning the organ harvesting thing when it's not that it's the government failing to prevent a crime from happening. It's not the government stealing kidneys. They have in the past, and everyone admits that, right? It's their kidney transplant and as rate is higher than the donation rate. That's only possible with organ harvesting, and it happens to Uyghurs because they're rural and it's poor, and nobody's going to care, especially the government, when it happens. So that's the conclusion, but we can't talk about that without tons of context, because when people hear organ harvesting, it's associated with something that is a fucking lie perpetrated by this fucking cult.
Mm-hmm.
Secret plan that you can look up online very easily. Time for another segment of Wait, is that true? Actually, Project 2025 is an initiative developed by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative DC-based think tank, along with various other conservative organizations. It outlines conservative policy proposals for the next president. It's over 900 pages.
Yes.
In a publication called Mandate for Leadership, The Conservative Promise. 900 pages. If I wanted to read a 900-page fantasy novel about politics, I'd just read Game of Thrones. Now,
Yeah, funny joke, but you should probably actually read this. If you didn't read this,
No,
Come on.
like they're
These
like,
are
wow, there's 900 pages and some of the stuff in there is bad. And it's like, he's like, it's actually this. Like nobody hasn't said that it's policy proposals. Like, no
it's all
shit.
policy proposals.
No shit, it's policy proposals.
Yeah.
What do you think people are trying to say it is? I don't understand like what he's refuting against.
just proposals from a conservative think tank. Neither
that, according to Second Thought, is an organization that Trump took 70% of the proposals from last time.
Oh, that wasn't even
Concerning.
Second Thought.
Was that
like,
Second Thought? I
no,
think
it
that
was
was
the guy
Second Thought.
before.
Was it? Ah, okay. Never mind. Fuck you, Second Thought.
Trump nor whoever will be president is obligated at all to follow through with them. But seeing how Trump's first presidency actually followed a majority of the Heritage Foundation's policy recommendations, many are automatically assuming the Project 2025 is Trump's likely plan for his second
so
term
hang
in
on.
office.
So we're arguing. Maybe it won't happen. We don't know.
I think so, yeah.
We'll have to vote and decide and see then it happens.
Because Trump definitely seems like the kind of guy who likes to curl up and read 900 pages of anything.
That's the point.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the point.
As a result, critics have had some really colorful descriptions of Project 2025. Many claim it will cement America as a right-wing authoritarian state and institutionalize Trumpism. Trumpism? What, becoming an attention-seeking narcissist? That's already an institution. It's called Instagram.
No.
They also say Project 2025 is a far-right
It's
assault
called Twitter,
on America.
actually, but
It's draconian.
just splitting hairs now.
Unhinged. It's a guide to turn the U.S. into a fascist's paradise. Yes, fascist's paradise. My least favorite Coolio B-side. Rest in power. I think you get the picture. They're loudly ringing the bell that Trump will end democracy yet again.
Bro. I know who Coolio is, and I'm joking here, but who the fuck is Coolio? Bro, you mean the guy who's in the fucking All That theme song? Like, what generation are you writing this for?
I'm surprised there hasn't been a left-leaning media article that's just a series of car alarm noises. In reality, Project 2025 has been public for more than a year now. But the outrage really erupted after Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts appeared on Steve Bannon's War Room podcast and said this.
We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
And since this was on a podcast, I assume it was followed with some contrived segue to plug BetterHelp. Roberts later clarified, saying that American...
That's fine. That's fine. I didn't laugh, but I'm like, yeah, they suck. I think that's
Patriots are
that's an
committed to
SNL level
peaceful
joke.
Sure.
Revolution at the ballot box, and that it's the left that has a long history of violence, so it's up to them to allow a peaceful transfer of power. Here is a live view of American political discourse over who's causing all the problems. Many on the left took Roberts' remark as a cryptic threat, with some comparing him to a member of the Oath Keepers. And if you don't remember who the Oath Keepers are, I don't blame you. Political groups in America these days are like Oreo flavors. You remember there being only two, but one day you wake up and go, when did all of these pop up? Which is why a year later, the media is all over Project 2025. Anything that makes people afraid sells, after all. I'm surprised the Puffington Host hasn't posted an article that just says,
come on,
boo.
you're doing the
So let's
same
try something
joke.
crazy. Instead of freaking out about headlines, let's look at what the actual document says. Which is why you have America Uncovered to help you go through 900 pages. This is why I had to start a gaming channel. The only way I can actually take a break from work is if I make my breaks work. Gamers Unbeaten is a real...
That's going to be like us.
Yeah,
I'll leave it up to...
It's like monetize your life. That's really the dystopian capitalism we're in.
Yeah.
Monetize your life.
Yep.
You to form your own opinion. One of the things Project 2025 wants to overhaul is the federal bureaucracy. And one of the ways it wants to do that is by putting tens of thousands of federal employees under
who also
Schedule
did that?
F. Schedule F was a controversial executive order that aimed to strip job
they're
protection
anti-bureaucrat.
from a
Okay, that makes it okay. Bureaucrats, who
federal civil
needs them?
servants, making it
They
easier
just clog
to
shit
hire
up. So that way nothing
good.
gets done. Without those
Yeah.
bureaucrats there, shit would get done. This is great.
and fire them. This was something Trump tried to do during his final year in office. Firing a bunch of people, you say. Say what you want about Trump, but he's loyal to his brand. The order was met with opposition, and Biden ultimately repealed it before it could be fully implemented.
I didn't
Liberals
laugh, but
I will give him this. Their writing is pretty funny. Like the jokes are funny.
No, they're hit and miss, you know?
Allowing this to go through would serve as a litmus test to make it easier to kick out liberals and steamroll conservative presidential agendas. Another example is environmental regulations. Project 2025 encourages utilizing all available energy sources, including fossil fuels, and eliminating many green energy programs and subsidies.
Yeah, that'll be great for the Earth.
We could harness fear as an energy source.
Why don't you just nuclear and renewables and dump money into new shit?
Media would have America powered for the next millennia. With immigration, Project 2025 wants to eliminate T and U visas meant to benefit victims of certain crimes like human trafficking, mandate illegal immigrant detainment, expand ICE, issue clearer guidance on illegal immigrant detention and bond policies, and deny loan access to illegal migrants. For anyone still convinced that this is Trump's plan, relax. You can tell it isn't, because it doesn't say that Mexico is going to pay for all.
Would it be illegal to put claymores in your house in America under Castle Doctrine?
Okay, that goes down to the shotgun booby trap case, right? So, at minimum, you would still get arrested, obviously, but in court, could you plead a case? Maybe. They would have to be registered explosives.
Okay.
They would need to be registered with the state that they exist, right? And you would need to actively engage those explosives, right? Like,
you would need to pull the trigger.
Yeah, so if there was a camera on the Roomba that you sent towards them, maybe you could argue for it. But again, getting explosives registered to begin with is really hard. Really hard. Normally, normally for that license, you're like a firework manufacturer or something like that. Or props, like movie people, movie props and stuff, they'll have explosive licensing, right? But then, like, if you look at a channel like Demo Ranch, they 3D print a claymore and talk about they had to get it registered and how much money it costs to get it registered. And it's actually kind of informative of like the process of owning explosives, because things like tannerite, for example, is completely over the counter.
Yeah,
you don't need a license for tannerite because it's binary, right? So it's like how you can basically have a binary explosive, right, on the shelf and buy the two components of that binary explosive, make the explosive yourself, and you're good to go on many cases. Like the Drano bomb, right? It's not technically illegal to just make a Drano bomb incendiary device and fuck around with a bomb like that.
Yeah. Is that like the one we saw in that video?
Yeah. And then there's also the Nashville Boomer, right?
Yeah.
It was mainly like a petrol induced explosion, right? Okay. They visited his house and saw he had a bunch of bombs, but it's like, well, I mean, technically not illegal.
Because I'm just thinking, like, if this does become a thing and you were like aware the cops were going to come and like try and fuck you up on purpose, because that's just what they're doing now.
Well, if it was the cops,
claymore your house.
If it was the cops coming for you and you tried to fight back, then no.
Well, what if you put a sign on the outside that fuck off, there are claymores inside? Gave them pre-warning and they went in anyway.
Well, it's their legal right as police to like enter your premises and to raid and how it's just like how like they literally could have been as brutal as they wanted at Waco.
Okay.
There was
sure. I raise you multiple articles of the Constitution.
Yes. Nobody cares. Though.
I think that I should be able to claymore my house to counter the police unjustifiably persecuting myself, or anybody for that matter. I think that if the police are coming to your house, you're aware of it, and they are doing it outside of the bounds of the law, even within the bounds of the law, to be completely honest, but just for like the lib example, right? Outside of the bounds of the law, I see no issue with you defending yourself and your right to life from the state.
The court ruled that using deadly force on intruders in an unoccupied property was not reasonable or justified, and therefore not a defense in tort of battery.
I'm not. I would be there. I'm not talking. about...
Yeah. So I'm just reading you the opinion of the court on booby traps houses, right? It said would have been justified in defending himself with the shotgun if he had been home during the intrusion,
even if it was the booby trap.
I'm not sure. The plaintiff's status as a trespasser is irrelevant when assessing the liability in the case. And there's the thing is, you'll see stuff like people like they'll do like knife traps for landlords, and stuff, you'll see they're on the stairs, right? And the
Okay.
knife will come down from the stairs on like a board that's loose that will just swing down and like poke you with their poking stick.
That's so funny.
There'll be vagrants and stuff that take over buildings will do that.
Okay.
So
all this.
I mean, look, it's at the end of the day, I'm against police raids. Both for the police safety and the safety of the people inside, because the people inside, whether guilty or not, the cops should not be the determining factor.
the
on
case
whether
is
they die or not.
notable for the proposition that although a landowner has no duty to make his property safe for trespassers,
Mhm.
he may not set deadly traps against them, holding that the
Ah.
law has placed a higher value on human safety upon the
Than property.
mere rights of property.
Interesting.
So that doesn't necessarily say that like
You can't make the house very dangerous.
well, it's like basically you have to deliberately cause the harm against them.
Mhm.
And I think this also implies the castle doctrine shit, where it's like it's even then you have to have like immediate justification for your own harm
Yeah.
for many of the things, and except for certain states where you can just shoot people in the head for knocking on the wrong door.
Yeah.
Even though that
that's
guy did go
ridiculous.
down for that.
Did he really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he got arrested for murder because he shot a kid who came up to the because the kid survived getting shot in the head. Remember?
Right. Because there was another one that was a guy shooting at a car turning
Yeah,
around in his
yeah.
driveway. Like, bro, just turn it on yourself. You are a paranoid schizophrenic. You are a fuckwit. You are an actual danger to society. Like, if you are that paranoid about black people turning into your house in their car, seek help or end your subscription to life. It's one of the two. Seriously.
And then there's the initiative's socially conservative policies.
Here we go.
It advocates for allowing
Bro.
religious and moral exemptions.
So the booby trap basically blew off the guy's lower limbs, right? It like hit him in the knees and blew off his
Mhm.
legs, right? So the article ends with the burglar later ended his own life using a gun in the front yard of his home.
Boy. Well, should have made better choices. I have no sympathy. It's like, I don't know, steal from
Who
corporations.
knows the reason why he did that though?
The booby trap or
No, killed himself.
trying yeah, true.
It wasn't necessarily because he got his legs blown off or anything.
Sure. There's a lot we don't know.
To contraception and
Pretty
abortion
crazy
mandates,
story though.
limiting mail order abortion pills, prohibiting Planned Parenthood from receiving Medicaid funds, and getting the CDC to monitor and track abortions. Brilliant plan,
very
because
cool.
as we all know, limiting abortions has been such a winning strategy for conservatives. I'm beginning to suspect why liberals are giving Project 2025 so much attention all of a sudden. It also wants to restrict applying sex discrimination protections to sexual orientation in hiring and firing only. Restrict funding for transgender procedures and remove...
Restrict applying sex discrimination protections to orientation only. What? So what, only sexual orientation is protected? Is that what it's saying?
Yes.
Okay. Weird.
DEI initiatives from federal programs.
Wait.
So they're more pro-gay than
Wait.
pro-woman.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
Is that what they're telling
Transgender
us?
procedures
Yes.
and remove...
Yes.
Is that what they... Wow. So they're more pro-gay
Right?
than pro-woman and more pro-woman than pro-trans. This is a weird fucking ideology. So gay is fine, being a woman is not, but being a trans person is fine as long as you don't have procedures? What?
Remove DEI initiatives from federal programs. Critics look at Project 2025 and say it's an extreme right-wing blueprint to ban medication, abortion, roll back LGBTQ plus rights, expand oil drilling and coal mining, and arrest and deport
Now. It's only the TQ plus. We're TERFs.
11 million undocumented immigrants.
It's the Project 2030 that gets rid of the rest of the homos.
Will also use the Department of Justice as a tool to punish Trump's opponents and fire federal employees who are not loyalists.
Yes.
Yeah. Could you imagine how crazy it would be if the Justice Department was targeting the president's political rival? Seriously, could you imagine? Yet all the negative press over Project 2025 may have hit a nerve for Trump, because in just a few days after Roberts' remarks, Trump distanced himself from Project 2025, saying, I have no idea who is behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. What exactly Trump was referring to when he described some things that were absolutely ridiculous and abysmal isn't clear. But Trump's campaign emphasized that the Heritage Foundation is an outside group, and that proposals Trump hasn't personally endorsed should not be taken as statements of his plans. And as of now, Trump hasn't endorsed Project 2025. Unlike how he endorsed the God Bless the USA Bible, the only Bible not only endorsed by Donald Trump, but months later still instructs what to do if the pages are sticky. Trump has his own policy plans called Agenda 47 for these.
That's fucking awesome.
47th president of the U.S. focuses on things like illegal immigrants, energy, transgender procedures, and manufacturing jobs. But despite...
so you mean Project 2025 then? Cool.
Trump's claims, Democrats aren't buying that Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025. They insist that Project 2025 is undeniably a Trump-driven operation, especially since many of the authors of the initiative are former Trump officials. They also point out that Trump's own super PAC runs ads highlighting Project 2025, and that Trump's allies partnered with Project 2025. So Biden's campaign continues using Project 2025 as a boogeyman to warn voters why they should vote for Biden, emphasizing that Project 2025 is the extreme policy and personnel playbook for Trump's second term that should scare the hell out of the American people. Granted, Trump...
No, not just Americans. Everybody.
You don't have to be scared of it.
No. It's just like, this is what you should be aware of. That this is like, globally, people should be aware of what the fuck this is. Because if Trump actually does come through with this, and this is the policy that he chooses to go with, this will ripple to other countries. America is...
Well, Heritage Foundation has already done it in places like Singapore.
Yes.
If you're trans, you can be put into a mental institution in Singapore.
Like, America is the cultural peak of the mountain. Its refuse flows to the rest of the world.
Wait,
so this is
you mean
this?
Is
what
are
happens.
you speaking of the Seven Mountain Theory, where they need to influence culture?
Sure.
And everything else. That's literally what. No, you did though.
No, I know. I just at peak of the mountain because I'm using natural, the natural evolution of rivers. Going from
Gamers Unbeaten.
Didn't do any of this.
And that's what we first watched. The first time we put this guy on was for the Gamers Unbeaten, and we all agreed that this is a fucking shit video.
If he wins this time, it's definitely the end of America.
No.
So what do you think? Does Project 2025 scare you? Leave your comments below. And if you like America Uncovered,
it's like being like that's like
nonpartisan.
That's like saying fucking
you.
Jackson was the end of America. No.
Leave your comments below.
But
and if you like
his policies good? No. Did America continue? Yes. Did people die and suffer greatly under his admin? Yes. Did America continue? Sure did. Dude is on money.
America
Trump's going to get that Mount Rushmore spot.
Be sure to subscribe, smash that like button, and support the show.
All right.
We won't support the show, but we might give you a like for this video. Jack can
Hello,
decide.
students. My name.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?